Tell us about yourself. Where are you studying? Where are you from?
So my name is Dan Shapovalov. I'm from Ukraine, Odessa, and currently I'm a student at St. Joseph's University, which is in Philadelphia. And this year I've just graduated from high school in the US. I was here for my senior year, and my major right now is computer science, Bachelor of Sciences, and I'm very excited to get my bachelor degree.
If you had the opportunity to change something in this world, what would you change?
Um, my answer would be probably pretty obvious, but of course I would make a peaceful life in the world to stop all the wars because it's just, a horrible thing. People are suffering, a lot of people die. And some people might say, there are always pros and cons everywhere, but I feel like it's more of, negative things and, it's just horrible. So yeah, the peace would be my answer.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Thank you for your
Yeah.
answer. Then let's move to this next question about Ukrainian Global University Program. Tell us about this program. What's the mission of this program? And do you have any advices for people who want to participate in it?
All right. So Ukrainian Global University / Ukrainian Global Scholars, it is a program that is looking for talented Ukrainians who are ready to study abroad, who are very, excited about studying. And their main point is that they allow their participants, finalists, to get education abroad, study there, and then come back to Ukraine and apply their knowledge in Ukraine and help rebuild country after the war. I applied, I think summer last year, yeah, and I got accepted in August. I got an offer from private school here in Pennsylvania. I accepted it, of course. It was full ride, and right now, as I said, I'm at St. Joseph's University. For people who want to participate in the program, I would say, just be yourself, don't lie, show them your personality, because it's not only the creators of the program are looking at your application, but it's also the schools that are trying to be interested in Ukrainian people. So, just be open-minded. Yeah, that would be my main advice.
Okay, thanks. I guess I can add one more advice: to be confident. Confident
Of
about
course, yeah.
doing
Yeah,
things.
I agree with that. Yeah, confidence is pretty important.
Yeah. Do you have particular advice for interviews? Because a lot of participants are afraid of these interviews. Do you have something to say about it?
Um, well, I remember my first interview. I was, like I was very nervous. I didn't know how to behave myself because it was also my, first English interview, and I thought, oh my God, if I don't understand him, what I'm gonna answer.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid, people are always trying, to help. Um, Even during the end interview, like if you don't know the word in English, like it doesn't show other people that your lack of confidence, you just don't know the word, so you can ask like, oh, could you say it one more time, and they will rephrase it. So don't be afraid, to ask them to repeat a question or something. Try to show that you are open-minded in terms of like that you're not like only focused on one area in your life. You're kind of, everywhere, so you can do this and that, so they know that like, you're excited not only like in my case computer science, for example. I can tell about my sociology, about my, philosophy classes, how I'm excited about that, and show them your, diversity, that you're not focused on only one thing. Yeah, and I think that would be like my main advice for people for interviews, especially.
Mhm. Okay, so the level of English doesn't determine your chances to go to specific school and your confidence. And
Well, it does, but sometimes like I understand a lot of people are worried, during their first interview. It's normal, we're all humans. But I mean, just if you don't understand something, don't be afraid to ask a question, to repeat something. Like it doesn't matter. Of course, they would help you, but you show yourself and your personality in the answers. So yeah. I mean, English is pretty important, but just don't be afraid to ask something additional.
Mhm. Okay, thanks for your advices. Let's move on to admission to university. It's quite complicated process that involves a lot of challenges, mistakes.
Yeah.
So share your story. Can you like share your what did you do to apply to this particular university?
Yeah, so like I remember it was I think like the third week of my senior year in high school in the US, and people started telling me that you have to apply much earlier than summer. And I was like, wow, it's a little bit different than, Ukrainian education application process. I didn't know a lot of information about that, but fortunately, I have a very good transition to college counselor, the person who, helps people to create the applications, explains how to write essays and all other stuff. And I started creating my list. I knew it's gonna be like huge because obviously a lot of Ukrainians need a full ride right now, and not every school have to, you know, not every school can provide a full ride to a student. Uh, this is very like big question that you have to consider choosing your universities, looking at their finances, if they can provide you with need-based scholarship, merit-based scholarship, or maybe they have their own scholarships. And I started, having this list of schools, depends on like the location. Do I like seasonal weather? Do I like, cold weather, warm weather? I also was trying to I was trying to look for something that is close to my school. So, in case something happened, I could, tell my previous teachers like ask for help or something. And then when I got the list, it was like 15 universities or something. I started gradually writing the essays for all of them. And also, you have to consider that some of the universities can have like 5 questions for you, some can have like 10 questions for you. So, also do a research, about like how much effort they have to put into it, how much time you're gonna spend on a particular essay. And some people procrastinate, and it's very important to know your time management skills. So I was trying to write like 4 essays per week or something. um and then when it was time for applications, I expanded my list a little bit, like 5 more universities, and I ended up like with 20 universities probably. And St. Joseph's University was the first one that I found actually. I had very funny story how I met the admission counselor from St. Joseph's. So in American high schools, when you're a senior, your school invite different people from universities so they can introduce the school and represent themselves, the school, and get people involved.
Mhm.
And I remember I was walking down the road, to the building where the whole presentation would be. And I see like 20 meters from me, there was my counselor walking with a woman. And I didn't know this woman. And I was like, okay, like, should I hold the door for them, or should I, just come in? And I was like, okay, for some reason, I'm going to hold the door for them. And I'm waiting like 5 seconds till they come, to the door. And the woman says, like, oh, you're so nice. And then my admission counselor, he said, like, oh, this is the main guy, from the university. And then after her presentations, we exchanged the information, and she helped me a lot, like during, the application process. And it's like very funny because it's like very small detail that I just hold the door for them, and
Mhm.
like they just say, oh, you're very kind. So you already made the first impression for a person, which is very also, very important. And uh, my advice for people who are going to apply to the universities would be probably
Be
try to
nice to
communicate.
everyone.
Yeah, like try
Okay.
to communicate with everybody, spam, email every day, because if you have a goal, you have to reach it. And, just be thoughtful about what you're talking. Like in my case, I remember I wrote just 1 essay per day, as an email to send people so they know me better, so they know, oh, there's a student from Ukraine, Dan Shapovalov, he has this, and that. So they kind of, remember you. And it's very nice, when you have an interview and somebody is like, oh, I know this guy. Remember, I got an email from him, and you already have, the deeper connection with the professor or with the admission office, than people who are just applying and create essays and other stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great advices. And what about exams that you took? Did you take SAT or TOEFL, IELTS, something like that?
For my high school, I took Duolingo English test. It was online. I got like 115 out of 160. But then for university, I decided to retake Duolingo English test, and I think it was either 135 or 140 out of 160. But the average requirement for the universities in the United States, I think it's 120, like to get accepted, and it's not that bad. It's not very difficult. I know a lot of people take TOEFL and IELTS, but when I was in high school, like my professors and my transition to college teacher, he suggested that I take Duolingo English test because it's much faster, and probably for somebody it would be easier because it's online. You don't have to, find the office. You can go to, in person and take the exams, because I know also a lot of people are getting nervous because of that. So maybe it would be a nice advice for people who, are afraid of actual, physical exams. They can take Duolingo English test. I took SAT, but I didn't really prepare for it because I remember when I came to my high school, like we had only, like 2 weeks for preparation. So I was just like sitting on it, but I knew that like my score wouldn't be bad. And I think I got 1280 out of 1600. It's average score, but I didn't use it for many schools. I think for St. Joseph's I submitted it, but for the majority of the schools I didn't submit. I just submitted my Duolingo score. But it's actually a very also good advice would be for people who want to come to the US for education. Try to prepare for exams like SAT or ACT in advance. So you know the system, how the exam works, the kind of questions they tend to ask, and when you actually take the exams, you feel yourself much, more confident. Because I didn't do it. It was my mistake. But for people who are gonna do it, prepare in advance, take some time, schedule, I don't know, 2 hours, per day or something exactly for that. Don't be distracted, because that you're always in advantage. Then if you have an SAT score and ACT score, you're always in advantage than the people who didn't take it. So yeah, be thoughtful about that too.
Yeah, and you were talking about such events, fairs, when people from different universities came to your school. I just wanted to add that universities oftenly provide virtual fairs for students from different countries online. So if you're interested in that, I can provide a link under this interview. This is for our viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one more advice. Go to those fairs and ask specific questions about some details, because that can definitely help to create more detailed essay for the question why us essay. And yeah, that's definitely good advice.
Yeah, I would also say that very nice resource is Khan Academy. It's an online resource. It's official. It's provided by SAT and ACT, and you can like find all sorts of questions there, like math part, grammar part, vocabulary part. And what's nice is that they separated each topic, so it's very easy to find. For example, if you're bad in trigonometry, you can just search up like Khan Academy trigonometry, and it will give you the whole section with different videos regarding this topic. And instead of wasting your time and learning what you already know, the specifics where you have to focus, and it's much easier.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that they changed the format for international students. Now it's digital SAT, so that don't get confused with the different formats. It's also important.
Yeah.
And by the way, recently they added specific new source for preparing for the digital SAT. I can also provide a link for this. So there are lots of sources to prepare for this exam, and it definitely develops cognitive functions of our brain, especially reading section, I guess.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about your extracurricular activities that you put on your list when you applied to universities.
So I had a pretty big amount of extracurriculars. I would start with the business that I opened when I was like 15. I was very interested in 3D printing and, creating these plastic models. And I decided, oh, maybe I can, try to sell it, not only like create it for myself. And I became very interested into that. I created the Instagram page. I started like working on the design of it. I started working on the products I want to sell. I created different Instagram highlights with different topics. For example, I don't know, cartoons, math, whatever people are interested in. And I started printing more stuff. I started taking pictures of it, posted on Instagram. I started having, more subscribers. People, became interested into it. And that was the first thing I mentioned on my extracurricular list. Also, I mentioned my community. I'm the CEO of the STEM or Stay Motivated community. It's based on finding like-minded people and trying to focus on our self-development from different perspective of lives. For example, I'm very interested into math. Another person is very interested into literature. And sometimes, like once per week, we have different calls and we share, or we have a topic that we're going to talk about, and we share our different perspectives of views on that, expand our knowledge. And we used to have a website for this community, but right now, unfortunately, it's not working. We got to work on that. But it's very nice to have this community that can always support you and expand your, knowledge on a particular topic. And I mentioned it with, development of my leadership skills, development of my computer science skills, because in order to create website, I had to use computer science. In order to find these people, I had to show my leadership skills, because, not everybody can, just create a community out of the blue. So yeah, I also mentioned my activities that I did in my high school in Ukraine, like Sonyashnik, Ukrainian language competition, Greenwich for English, and I think I participated in these programs like since I was in 5th grade. So I had, many diplomas, and I was in the club for Greenwich, for Sonyashnik, for these different contests. And I also mentioned it. And I also submitted like my awards from these competitions and stuff, which is I think which is pretty important. So people know that, you're trying to be everywhere, math, English,
Well-rounded
Ukrainian
person.
language, and they see well-rounded, yeah. And I think it's like very important. And along the way, during my senior year in high school in the US, I was applying for becoming a president of the school, and I also mentioned it in this list. Also, like showing, my leadership skills. We had to create a speech to represent ourselves. What would we do for a community in school? How would we improve our community? What changes we would make and stuff, which also shows like leadership skills. And I think that's it as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Do you have
Yeah.
any advices for writing personal statement?
Personal statement, yeah. Based on my experience and what I learned from it, I would say before you're writing your personal statement, come up with the idea of what emotion you want to show to the reader in your essay. Try to you know, pull their emotional strings when they read your essay. Try to show your personality as well. So, for example, if you are writing about leadership, skill, try to show the emotion. Try to show the emotion for a person that you're confident. If you're writing about the war, try to put some drama into it. So actually, when the admission office is reading your essay, they understand that it's not, only empty words. They can actually feel that, you experienced this, and that, and you're trying to show this to admission office. I think it's very important. Also, usually, like, never lie. There's no sense in lying because, when you come to the university, it's, completely different experience. People expect you to be the person that you described in your essay, especially if you have the professor that you wrote an essay for. And just never submit your first essay. Try to make different drafts. Try to see what's better. Talk to your peers, talk to your teachers, to your parents, like what they think about the essays, which one is better. Try to see all different opinions and decide what's the most suitable for you, what others think, and try to connect them and finalize your final draft and submit it.
Yeah, thank you for your advices. I guess writing the personal statement, it's like learning your psychology, you need to analyze everything in your life, and this is the moment when you become older, I guess. So
yeah. I mean, on Common App, I think they have like 6 topics you can write about your personal statement. So just think which one would be not only easier for you, but which one would be more suitable for you in terms of describing yourself and your personality. Like, don't choose that topic that seems to be easier. Choose the topic that you feel like it can open yourself more than the other.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you said this interesting story about your first business. Can you share some advices for people who also want to start something of their own? Yeah.
Well, if you have an idea, just don't be afraid to interpret it. Like, if you are focused on something, and you have school or you have university and you think you don't have enough time, you have to understand that if you come up with an idea, you're not in a hurry. You don't have like a certain deadline. Like, you're not officially working. You do it for yourself first because you're interested in it. So be very thoughtful about your time management. Be thoughtful about how much effort you put into it, because sometimes when you got an idea, you're like very excited, you put a lot of effort into it, but then the next day you feel like you're burnt out, you're not very interested into it. So try to manage your time very wisely. I would say you can try to find also like-minded people that also want to do it. So you're not only the one person who is working on the idea. It's always very nice to have different opinions on a certain idea, create, a team, but, don't find like more than 5 people, I would say, because if you haven't had an experience in opening your own business, it would be hard because you have to manage not only yourself but also other 9 people. So start small, step by step. Create set the certain deadline for yourself. Don't think that, like, if you're tired you have to do something, you're forced to do something. Just remember that it's for yourself. You're trying to turn this idea into reality. It takes time, and just move small step, and eventually, you will reach your goal.
Okay. Yeah, great advices. And I was thinking about one more question, not from the list. There is a common thing among students at school, in university, it doesn't matter. Sometimes people just don't know what they want to do in their lives, and they cannot find their activity. How did you come up with the notion that you are interested in computer science? And then please provide some advice for people who don't know what they want to do in their lives.
Well, when I was a kid, I remember I was really into gaming, and it's already, some connection with the computers. And then when I grew up a little bit, I say to my parents, okay, like, I kind of love the computer stuff. Maybe I should go to programming courses or something. And I got the first lesson. I remember I really liked it, especially coding part. And I was like, oh, I think it's my stuff. And then gradually I started developing. I understood that it might be hard sometimes, but once you understood something, it's like the best feeling in the world. And I would say, like, for people who don't know what they want to do, just try different things. Try to set the goal, like, this month I'm gonna try to be a writer. Like, if I want to be a screenwriter or a filmmaker, for example, I would try to incorporate into my month this thing. I will write, I don't know, 3 scripts per month or something, or per week. Like, you will feel like, okay, that's interesting, maybe I should keep going with that. Or some people might feel like, okay, I don't really like it, you just sit, you write this essay, it's not for me. And you always, change the topic until you find a certain one that you like. In my case, it was computer science. And when I became intermediate, I started looking for volunteering opportunities, and I joined the program called Mentor Ukraine / Brave Generation. It's also the program that focuses on development of future leaders of Ukraine. And I was developing, a Telegram bot for this program, and also I used my computer science knowledge. And I really liked it, when I can combine what I really like and plus support people, from my country, and it gives me an inspiration. So another advice would be, if you're trying to look for, your hobby or your major in the university, try to think of it like you're not only doing it for yourself, but you have to enjoy it when you do it for other people, that you contribute something to the world. Because for some people, it can be like an inspiration, like a push, to start doing something. Because sometimes you might think like, oh, I don't like business. Some people relate business to sitting and write only some stuff, all these numbers, Excel. But actually, when you on the other hand, you think, okay, I'm gonna communicate with different people, we can work on different projects, I make contribution here, there, I learn myself. That might be interesting. So always try to consider different perspectives on a certain thing you're trying to do.
Yeah, and it's important to not be delusional about specific professions. Like, from my experience, when I was a kid, I was like, I wanted to become a filmmaker, and I was that filmmaking. It's something that, like, you take the camera, you take different videos, photos, but in reality, you're sitting 24/7 in front of a computer and you edit everything. Like, filming is like, it's a small part of the whole process. So
yeah, I understand you. Yeah, because I have also like, when I came for high school here, I created my YouTube channel so I can show Ukrainian people what's like student life in America. And I was like, okay, I'm very excited about filming. I'm gonna have a camera, I'm gonna have friends who are gonna help me with that to film some stuff. But when it comes to editing something, I'm like sitting like this, and I'm like, oh my God, it's very time consuming. Like, you're trying to find a certain melody for background noise, you're trying to make the best video you can. And yeah, so you have to consider all options of the job you do. You can, like, for me, what helped me when I was doing computer science, I took my diary and I just wrote down computer science. Okay, coding first, you know, conversations with people, maybe some project management. Also consider some negatives. So, you know, already the problems you have to face, like we just discussed, you know, filmmaking. This is editing because it's much probably time consuming than actually filming. So always consider positives and negatives and see, so you already know, you know, the obstacles you will face in the future. And if you're okay with that, if you like, you know, solving these obstacles, then it might be your thing. So yeah.
Okay, professional question. What programs do you use for your coding? Python, C++, or something else?
So I started with HTML when I was in middle school in Ukraine. I did it like for about a year, and then I decided to move on Python. It was my personal choice. You know, I just searched up like what's, you know, the most uh, useful language, you know, or something. I don't remember what I searched up, but it was Python. And I started, you know, just watching YouTube videos. I became very interested because of the simplicity of the language and the, you know, logical background of Python. So I have been studying Python like for 2 years. I would say I'm pretty intermediate level right now. And when I came here, as I said, my major is computer science, and our main course right now focused on Java. For Java, we use IntelliJ, and I'm not familiar with that, so it's, you know, completely like new programming language for me right now. But still, I can see, you know, similarities with uh, any comments, or, you know, just with logical background of the language. Like you have integers here, you have them there, you have strings here, you have strings there. And, you know, if you already learned some kind of language, then it's much easier to learn another programming language, because you already have this computer science mindset, and you can think like, you know, a computer scientist, which makes it easier for beginners who are interested in computer science. I would say definitely you can start with Python. It's very, you know, simple in terms of syntaxes, and it always takes some time to learn something new. But, you know, if you have a goal, why not, right?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the next question was about volunteering, but I guess we've already discussed it. So, one more question about volunteering. What are the benefits of getting involved in volunteering?
Well, for me personally, I just love helping people. For example, I know, you know, I'm not in Ukraine right now, and I can't be involved with all actual physical volunteering, like, you know, raising money for getting food for the army or for the refugees, or bandages, whatever. So I decided, I was like, I questioned myself, okay, how can I help right now? And I'm like, I also want to use computer science for that. And I found a couple of, you know, programs that are focused on development of Ukrainian youth. One of them was Engine program. So you basically can be a volunteer mentor for people from Ukraine who
I
are trying
participated in
to,
that too. Yeah, I know.
yes, study, develop their speaking skills mostly, I would say. And the second one was Brave Generation. Is the program also that helps, you know, Ukrainian students to come to the US and then come back and apply their knowledge. And I feel just that, you know, it's very nice not only to put effort into your education and your future, but also try to help other Ukrainian people, because you never know, in the future you might work together, and you're like, oh, you remember, like, I was your mentor, I was helping you, and he was like, okay, yeah, yeah, I remember you. And, you know, it's just very nice feeling. You feel like you are very supportive and useful for your country, for your peers, and I think it's very important. It's, for me, it's more of an inspiration, you know.
Yeah, yeah, thank you for your answers. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. You have this feedback, you feel like you're doing something important, and you feel like you have a reason to develop something.
Yeah.
I think something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the last question, actually. What movie and
All
or
right.
book can you recommend to the viewers?
One of my favorite non-fiction books is probably Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. This is an amazing book if people feel not motivated, if they need some, additional motivation in their life, and it can relate to, studying in college, maybe sports or whatever. So the book is the autobiography of ultra marathon runner David Goggins. He describes the idea of the how powerful people's mind is, and that you can actually exceed your limits under whatever circumstances you have. And he had very tough childhood, which sharpened his mind a lot. And he uses this experience from his childhood along the way when he grew up, and he describes all the obstacles he faced. And he has a couple of world records. I think it's pull-ups and push-ups. And he just, says that whatever happens, you always have to, stay motivated. If you fail, it doesn't matter. You can just, keep going. Always tell yourself that you have to finish what you began with. And, just very, very inspirational, very motivational book and resource for people who lack of motivation. And I'm trying to think of other book. I would say effortless and um, effortless helped me a lot. I don't remember the name of the author, but this book is about time management and productivity. It helps you to understand how to think about different problems you might face along your career. It can be work career, it can be university career, and you kind of get a taste, how to manage your time and how to be productive and not be very devastated when you fail, and I would definitely recommend it for people before coming to universities, because university is very, time consuming period of your life. So you really want to know how to manage your time and how to think of the difficulties you might face. So yeah, these two books, I would say my top two would be for people who want to, kind of read something new and also help for themselves.
Yeah, to feel inspired, I guess.
Yeah.
What about films?
About films, well, in terms of TV shows, one of my favorites are Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I just like the plot, but I know some people who are questioning themselves, okay, what am I gonna watch, this time, what I'm gonna watch later? And I would say that, don't be afraid to watch everything, because whatever, the movie or a TV show, you can extract something from that. All people have different opinions, and every person can see the movie or the film differently. So I would say that it really doesn't matter what you're watching. It matters maybe with who you watch, because you can ask your friend, okay, do you want to watch this movie or TV show, and then discuss it? And if he says yes, you can also, learn something from another person, how he or she sees this situation in the movie, like what happened in this scene. So, you kind of get the creativity not only from the movies that you watch, but also from the people you can discuss it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your recommendations. Actually, thank you for this
Yeah.
interview. That was pretty inspiring. I guess a lot of viewers became motivated after watching this. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for inviting. It's like such a pleasure for me, to share my experience.